Hi, everybody, and welcome to Black Spring with Autumn on your Tuesday. And I will try to keep it real under 30. Just a few lines to come right up. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Black Spring on your Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well. And this is about as 11th hour as I can get. But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. And for those of you that are not quite sure whether you're going to tune in or not, thank you so much for considering Black Spring with Autumn on your Tuesday. And also I want to thank, of course, the loyal patrons, the subscribers, and our friends over on Twitch and Periscope. And just another reminder, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but Twitch is going to be pulling the plug on, for my purposes, for all practical purposes of Black Spring. They're going to be pulling the plug on the 31st of March. So that's giving you a little, maybe roughly 30 days to, I don't know, maybe to get your Twitch drive up, or maybe consider coming over to the mainframe or the main brain at the moment. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'm going to start out with, of course, a word of thanks to the sponsors, and I'll be right back with got a couple of I have an immediate release, as well as just a couple of bizarre, just some outrageous things out there. I'm not sure whether to laugh or scratch my head about it, but I'll be right back. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I want to say hello to Rachel Van Ziel. Hello. And Steve Willis. Thank you guys so much for coming in on this 11th hour real under 60. I'm going to try to keep it real under 60. And sometimes that's a challenge. I think it's even real under 30. So we'll see. But let's just go ahead and we'll start right away, which we're going to start with the edification. This is the mask edification that I'm occasionally on about. So the mask edification is, of course, coming from our friends over at CFFS, and that stands for Citizens for Free Speech. And of course, Patrick Wood is the president of CFFS. There are some developments there, and there's some good news for people that are either living in, maybe some good news for people that are either living in Tennessee, or maybe you're planning on moving there. So we have a bit of a great, can I say, we have a great migration going on in this country. And so, maybe Tennessee is a place for you. But we're going to start there. And then we're going to move over to, it looks like a bit of, there's a narrative about Helen Keller that's going on. And I'm going to show you that video. And I'll give you give it to you in the context with the framing of I think the American Thinker is not the American Thinker. We're going to take that one from Business and Politics. We're going to take that one from their platform. and then we'll have just one other. But it's just it's there's just I don't know, it's the culture. This is a cultural revolution, and I say that it's tough being a content creator, or it's tough being a student. It's tough being anything um, in these times, right? So I'm going to get into that, but let's go with the mask edification. If you guys aren't familiar with Citizens for Free Speech, you can go over to you can go over to the community tab right now, and you can see that there are other articles that I release for Citizens for Free Speech. But I did inform you last week that they've been picked up by three top journals, including the Epoch Times, the Business and Politics, the American Thinker, as well as Epoch Times. So there's three. There's just three: Epoch Times, American Thinker, as well as Business and Politics. So you guys can always subscribe to those, or you can always come here and pick them up from me, because I think Patrick is a fantastic writer, and also he's also the president of CFFS. And if you guys are been around for a little bit, we had Patrick Wood and Mary Baker on several months back. Seems like it's almost been a year. So if you go into the archives, if you will, you can find that interview. We also have some solution based kinds of things that were in the makings. We'll see what happens with that. We'll see what happens this year. Um, but yeah, so let's move on to that. Thank you guys so much for coming in, and hello to Tyrant Spain TDOA. Thank you so much, the definition, for coming in. I really appreciate it. So let's go. Let's see what the biz is about. All right. So we're going to start with this one. Hope you guys are doing well. Oh, also, if you don't mind, please hit that like button to help us feed the AI around here. Yeah, you guys are first responders. You guys are the AI first responders in many ways. So I really appreciate you guys for thank you, Rachel Van Ziel. I really appreciate it. See, look at that. Got the best stripes in the biz. Okay, so let's go with our mask edification. And also it's the same, this is the same group that does the nomaskforkids.com. So if you guys have a story, a firsthand account is what they're looking for. If you have a firsthand account of experiences that you'd like to share, or blog about, or read about other instances of mask complications, or those concerns, you can do that over on the nomaskforkids.com. And it's very well organized, and I think it's protected. So I think there's some type of I think the way it's encrypted, it's not going to be I think it's not going to be a trash or a spammy situation for you. So moving on here, we have CFFS backs Tennessee bill outlawing businesses from requiring mask, test, and mocktails. Okay. So according to this, unconstitutional requirements for consumers to wear face masks in privately owned businesses that serve the public may be a thing of the past in Tennessee. If state legislatures approve a newly introduced bill in the state house, Citizens for Free Speech, a nationwide nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving the First Amendment, hailed the legislation as being an enormous step towards restoring the constitutional rights of citizens in all states. Quote, "This is precisely what we have been calling for in all 50 states," end quote, exclaimed CFFS Executive Director Patrick Wood. Quote, "We hear from business owners and employees from across the country who don't want to enforce oppressive mandates, but they feel forced to do so under a penalty of fines or closures at the hands of state officials," end quote. Gary Humboldt, the founder of the activist organization Tennessee Stands, agrees, arguing that the bill, quote, "removes business owners from the threats of cancel culture and the political conversations surrounding masks and other overreaching policies," end quote. A Republican state representative, Susan Lynn, along with two co-sponsors, introduced the legislation on February 9th, which, quote, "prohibits a person from denying an individual the full and equal enjoyment of goods, services, facilities, privileges, advantages, and accommodations of a place of public accommodation, resort, or amusement on the grounds of wearing or use of a medical device, or whether the individual has received medical treatment," end quote. The specific language in the bill would do more than outlaw businesses from requiring customers to wear face masks, which have been found to be dangerous for some healthy people. If passed, it would also prohibit businesses of public accommodation from requiring negative CV-19 test or proof of mocktail before serving customers. Quote, the idea that business owners acting upon direct orders from government officials should restrict the opportunity for free people to engage in commerce based upon medical procedures they may or may not have received is simply unconscionable. In quote, said Wood, quote, we have long feared that the face mask mandates were only the beginning, that forcing people to cover their faces in public would lead to public acceptance of more onerous requirements such as negative tests and mocktails to simply live and interact in public places. Sadly, that's exactly what is happening, in quote. Quote, passing this law is a big deal, Humble added. Quote, we have abandoned laws that have been on the books for decades. We are pretending that the ADA and the HIPAA laws just don't exist anymore, end quote. Wood is hopeful that more state legislatures will follow the lead of the volunteer state. Sometimes, quote, sometimes all it takes is for one or two states to lead the way, and suddenly the dominoes are tumbling down from one end of the country to the other, end quote. He said, quote, CFFS stands ready to assist the courageous Tennessee representatives in generating support for this bill in any way we can, end quote. So, yes, thank you so much, Rachel Van Zyl, for posting that link. So that is actually there for you. And thank you. You've got both of those in there. So yeah, so way to go, Patrick Wood and CFFS. So I think things are happening. We'll see. I mean, I'm not sure. We've talked about this before. The state of our institutions right now. It looks, it sounds good, but we'll see what happens. So there, if you want to tune and tap into that. Hello, friends in code. Thank you so much for coming in. If you want to tune into that, if you're interested in that at all, but these are not issues that are, these are issues that I think affect everyone. So, many people are not concerned, and I don't presume that you guys are, and I don't think I presume too much, but I don't presume that you guys don't care, don't quite get it, or but yeah, there you go. So you have hello alien believers. Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you. Please hit the like button for the health of the stream, and I guess the dissemination of the stream. And so I've got some graininess going on here, some some 1980s Paravision looking stuff happening here, but whatever. But thank you guys so much for coming in, and I appreciate it. So yes, please check that out. I'm actually going to be posting that on the community tab. I will post that article on the community tab, and it's nice that Patrick sends me the releases pretty immediately. So, and you guys can feel free to share those as well. But as soon as I get them, as soon as I get a release, I will put it out there for you so that you can know, so that you will know what's going on in your area, or maybe even what could be coming up to your area, picking up speed or picking up traction, rather. So I really appreciate it. Let me say hi. I think some more people have joined. And of course, Rachel Van Zyl is doing a fantastic job here. Thank you, Rachel Van Zyl. I really appreciate it. Steve Willis. And yes, I am looking at, thank you for sending me some information. Rachel, I will get into it soon. I started, but I didn't finish it. Thank you so much. And Steve Willis, thank you so much for coming in and supporting Tyrant Spain TDOA. Thank you so much. And Friends in Code and Alien Believers. I'm going to post this. Friends in Code says, thank you for stream. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? This is an 11th hour one. I wasn't planning on streaming, but it's, news is news. And if I have some thoughts or, some assertions, I'd like to bring those in, but anything for it that I get that's immediate release, I'm going to bring that for sure. And Rachel, thank you so much. Yes, I am bedazzled, yeah, I mean, This has turned into like a favorite sweatshirt. It's oversized. I don't know. I think I just like the color of it. So the poor thing probably gets washed like a few times a week. But I don't know. I think it works. So I appreciate it. And so let's move on to a little bit more outrageous culture. How about that? Because that seems that I said that earlier. It's a cultural revolution. The lies are starting to feel good to people. I'm not saying that's the norm. I'm not saying I'm subscribing to that, but I'm telling you the things that people say right now. I just you know what do you say? What do you do? What do you do? Okay. So I'm going to take you to that particular story, and that one is going to come out of business, and I think business and politics is covering a liner with entitled "History Teacher Stunned When Students State Helen Keller Conspiracy is Truth. Don't know Hitler," and the video will show you that. So I'm going to bring that one to you right now. I really appreciate you guys, and it is my attempt to do this in under 30, I believe I said today, but that might not be happening. So we'll try to get it in, try to get it done. Thank you guys so much. And I'm going to read one comment, and then I'm going to move you guys forward. It says, "We now have the feelings police more than they are law enforcement." Yeah. If you're not wearing your feelings on your sleeves, and you're not qualified, I mean, what we're going to all start doing is carrying around a box of Kleenex, just carry it around so you can make everybody feel better, or I don't know. Okay, so let's do this. All right, so we're going to go with this as a bit of a this is on the list on my trail of vetted sources right about now. And so here you go. What you see before you is the history teacher stunned when students state Helen Keller conspiracy as truth. She doesn't know Helen Keller, but she doesn't know Hitler. But we'll give you the skinny on that. So this is coming from John Doherty. This is his bun and lettuce that we're going to work with here. So here we go. A man purporting to be a U.S. history teacher noted in a now deleted TikTok video several of his Gen Z didn't know who Adolf Hitler was and believed that disabilities advocate Helen Keller was a, quote, Nazi. So how's that for you? How's that for your Tuesday? So let me zoom in here just a second. Looks like I'm stuck again. So we're going to do this number. All right. So I believe it or not, I'm going to get it together here any second. Okay. So I just want to change the perspective here just for a second. Okay. So here we are. We're back. Almost. Okay. All right. So here again. In addition, one student believed that, quote, D-Day, in quote, the June 6, 1944 Allied invasion of Europe during World War II was a rap artist. Okay. At the start of the video, the teacher asked his middle school students if they knew of Keller above in 1905, who lost her sight and hearing after suffering an illness at the age of 19 months. So we're going to go into the video. It says, quote, Helen Keller is a Nazi guy, end quote, said one. Quote, he's like a terrorist. All right, so I'm going to play this for you. Don't take my word for it. Don't give me the CT. You can see it for yourself. Okay. So we're going to play this right now. Hope you guys are ready. You're sitting down. Or if you got your popcorn, whatever your choice, a Popcornopolis, drizzled popcorn. Here we go.
Helen Keller is the Nazi guy.
No! What Nazi guy?
I don't know. He's like a terrorist.
Helen Keller is a Nazi terrorist that is a male. Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yeah, I'm going to write Helen Keller up here. Yeah. Right?
No. Are you thinking of Hitler?
Who's Hitler? Who's Hitler?
Who is Hitler?
Helen Keller was the blind and deaf person who was fake. She didn't exist, but everyone believes she was deaf and blind.
What? She was fake?
Yeah, she was deaf and blind.
What Pearl Harbor was, if I say Pearl Harbor?
Is that a bridge?
Dude.
Do you know what D-Day is?
Who?
D-Day.
A person? A rapper?
Are you being...
Now, I don't know if you guys are buying that. I don't know if you guys are buying that, but hello, Sleek Six Rule. It sounds, what can I say? It sounds genuine. It sounds, I don't want to say innocent. It sounds, it sounds like it has the right flavor, the right, yeah. But is history even compulsory anymore? What do these kids do all day anymore? I have no idea. But this is not, I mean, even, there once upon a time, I'm digressing for a second. Once upon a time, you could even find history on the backs of maybe even cereal boxes or inside of your toy. You might get a toy or something. Or what does even the fortune cookie do for anybody anymore? If this is the way these kids, if this is their recollection of history. But you're right on, Rachel. They're erasing it all the time. And the same, that's to me, that is the purpose of the cultural revolution that I'm speaking about. Is it's basically part and parcel is to erase the history and replace it. So it's like you're teaching kids to be miserable, is from what I can see. They're miserable and they can't reconcile anything. They've got to fight hate with hate and fight racism with racism, and they've got to fight everything with the thing that they use against you. So I've talked about that before. It's like picking up a sword and their hands just kind of get to sever their hands right away, because the same thing they're trying to destroy you with is the same thing they've destroyed themselves with. So I have no idea. And I don't know about this history teacher, but I'm not sure if I would put myself on there, say, these are my students and this is what they think. It's not, it just sounds a little bit, it sounds just a hair above, the kind of conversations you might have on a bus, on a field trip. But in some ways, it sounds like they are so confused. They don't know whether to scratch their watch or wind their butts. Is what it just sounds. Somebody's done a nice job of getting things out of whack. So I'm just going to go right back. So you guys got a chance to see that action. I'm going to put that in the stream for you. You probably wouldn't believe it. There's no way I could regale this kind of nuance. So that's exactly why I'm going to put that in the stream for you. All right, there you go. Not sure what these actually sound like. What, fifth graders? Maybe even seventh or eighth graders. I think you'd be surprised. Who knows? It might be worse than that. It might be worse than we thought. But we're gonna keep going. All right, so that's your tax dollars at work for you, right? That's your tax dollars hard at work. So I know Gen Z, Friends in Code says idiocracy. All right, so let's finish that one up. That one is pretty loaded, pretty disturbing, I say. Okay, so we're going to zoom out of that, but you have it for your conversation, your leisure. Okay, the stunned teacher said in response, quote, Helen Keller is a Nazi terrorist. That is a male. Is that what you're telling me right now? Are you thinking of Hitler? And the response is, who's Hitler? Asked another student. And so according to this, obviously taken aback, the teacher attempted to explain that Hitler rose to power as a dictator in Germany as head of the Nazi party, who was responsible for starting World War II in Europe and exterminating more than 6 million ... But before he could finish his explanation, another student interjected to say that Keller was a falsehood. Quote, Helen Keller was a blind and deaf person who was fake. She didn't exist, but everyone believes she was deaf and blind, end quote, said the student. Born in 1880, Keller, a real historical figure, would become an advocate for disabled people as well as a noted author and lecturer. She died in 1968. The teacher went on to see what students knew about Pearl Harbor, a reference to Hawaii-based U.S. naval station attacked by Imperial Japan on December 7th, 1941. One student said that they thought it was a bridge. Another thought D-Day was a wrapper. Quote, "Are you being serious?" The incredulous teacher asked at one point. Social media users responded with similar shock online. Quote, "So this is terrifying. History teacher discussing major events with Gen Z students." One person wrote on Twitter, according to the UK-based Daily Mail, quote, "This doesn't bode well, guys," end quote, another user wrote. Another user claimed that Gen Z's lack of historical knowledge is how conservatives can be elected to Congress. Quote, "If you want to know how Lauren Boebert and, oh my gosh, do I dare say, MTG got elected, this video where HS students claim Helen Keller didn't exist or was Hitler, never heard of D-Day or Pearl Harbor, and are generally completely ignorant of American history, gives you a scary indicator," end quote, the user wrote. So just FYI, anytime I say anything about MTG, they're going to come along and tell me and try to give you guys context on the letter 17. So just FYI. So I'll get off of MTG. Okay, so I'm going to keep going here. Regarding the false belief that Keller was not real, Newsweek reported that the conspiracy spread on TikTok came primarily from a since deleted video by Ali Son Harshida, whose clip was viewed more than 600,000 and used the hashtag Helen Keller wasn't real. Wow. Okay. The May 2020 video pushed back on Keller's many remarkable accomplishments and intoned, quote, "It's time for the lies to end," end quote. Another TikTok user at Crunk19, whose video drew 2 million views, also discounted Keller's accomplishments as well as those of her initial teacher, Anne Sullivan. Okay, quote, "We got to talk about this whole Helen Keller thing because I've had enough," end quote. He said, "I've heard it my whole life. She's deaf, she's blind, she's amazing. No, guess what? She lied. She's a liar. Her and that monster Anne Sullivan pull the wool over our eyes, and nobody's thought to question it. Nobody's." Those are their words here. The user says his account is, quote, "purely satire," end quote, but the conspiracy spread nonetheless. Recent testing showed that U.S. students' knowledge of history, geography, and civics continue to decline, according to results from the biannual National Assessment of Educational Progress last year. Just 15% of 8th grade students were proficient above the history, while just 25% scored sufficiently in geography and civics. So, yeah, you guys got your homework to do. You have kids, or if you're a teacher, I guess it's everybody. We've got issues. Yeah, so this is what's happening. Okay, and can you imagine how much more decline will occur the longer these students remain exiled or out of school? Okay, can you imagine? These platforms are actually going to start miseducating. They're going to start miseducating kids, because that's what they're doing. They're on their devices all day, and even when they break, for after school, this is what they're dealing with. Whether somebody wants to say it's satire or whatever, I think TikTok is TikTok's getting a lot of traction. Okay, you know what? I'm going to shut my camera off here. I don't want to be stuck anymore. Okay, so are you guys set? Give me a 1 if you can still hear me. It looks like I'm somewhat stuck. Maybe I'm not, but we're going to keep going here. So before we move on to anything else, I'm just going to, Friends in Code. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Friends in Code. Thank you so much for sharing the video. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a word of thanks to our friends and our sponsors. I'll be right back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And please hit the hit the like button if you can. We're available. I'll be right back. right, guys, and we are back, and I'm just trying to preserve some of that 1980s. Can I call it Panavision effect? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to another story in which we're going to visit a revelation a bit from the National File that reveals that Parler's new CEO wants convention that would let George Soros rewrite the Constitution. So you guys can play around with that, but I'm going to bring that to you from the National File, and then that will round us out. And we are not quite under 30. So, but I apologize for that, but this is just something to chew on for your Tuesday. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ready to share that with you. And thanks so much for those of you who have joined us over on Twitch. I do believe that we are growing there. And I want to say thank you so much to Rachel Van Ziel, Steve Willis, I think Old Head Deuce, along with Zero the Infinite, Ronnie Mann, of course. And I think I'm leaving someone else out that I don't mean to leave out. But yes, but I will tell you that I want to be honest, in many ways, I'm not quite sure if I believe that Twitch is super user friendly. Zero to Infinite, Rachel Van Ziel, Ronnie Mann, Old Head Deuce, and there's somebody else. So Steve Willis, I believe Steve Willis has joined. So yes, so let's go ahead and dig into this. Let's dig into this National File story. Okay, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for all that you do. So we're going to go over to our National File story. And this is the Parler. So I'm wondering if this is, if we've got too many people, too many hands in the basket. Okay. All right. So according to this, revealed Parler's new CEO wants convention that would let George Soros rewrite the Constitution. Now I'm going to be honest, just from the way this sounds, what do I think this is likely to happen? I would think it would not. I would think that would be absolutely beyond constitutional. But with the way things are right now, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they'll do, everything under the sun to try to get to that, to get on a path to that. So let's see. According to this, Parler's new CEO is the public face of the Convention of States. See, which would rewrite the United States Constitution. Soros is a big proponent. Now, this sounds more than problematic. Okay, according to this, Mark Meckler, the new interim CEO of Parler. Do you see the deception here? The CEO of Parler. So I would imagine that Parler was supposed to be a bit of a conservative platform, right? So now they're hijacking. So the only way you can be on is if you got to be Soros has to be involved. Is that what I'm picking up? So Mark Meckler, the new interim CEO of Parler, currently supports a convention of states that could give George Soros and other interests the power to rewrite the Constitution. Meckler, who was appointed as interim CEO of Parler following the removal of founder John Matz, currently runs the Convention of States Project, a supposed, quote, grassroots organization pushing for a convention under Article 5 of the Constitution. Okay. The project describes itself as a, quote, national effort to call a convention under Article 5 of the United States Constitution, restricted to proposing amendments that will impose fiscal restraints on the federal government, limit its power and jurisdiction, and impose term limits on its officials and members of Congress, end quote, which initially sounds appealing. However, a report by the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities argued that such a restriction on an Article 5 convention would be impossible, with states unable to control what a convention could and could not discuss, and nobody else have clear constitutional control over the convention. Former Chief Justice Warren Burger wrote in 1988 that, quote, There is no way to effectively limit or muzzle the actions of a constitutional convention. The convention could make its own rules and set its own agenda. Congress might try to limit the convention to one amendment or one issue, but there's no way to assure that the convention would obey. After a convention is convened, it will be too late to stop the convention if we don't like its agenda. Conservative Justice Antonin Scalia echoed this sentiment in 2014. Quote, I certainly would not want a constitutional convention, end quote, said Scalia. Quote, whoa, who knows what would come out of it, end quote. And such, it may be no surprise that the Convention of States Project is joined in its push for a convention by George Soros and other leftist advocacy organizations, who, soon as a convention was called, would likely push for all of their constitutional amendments on the table. The New Republican noted in 2014 that, quote, George Soros, the financier of the global fascism, is pumping millions of dollars into the same Article 5 campaign that is being prompted by, quote, top conservative voices, including Mark Levin. Speaking to National File, a spokesman from the John Birch Society described Meckler as the, quote, advocacy face, end quote, of the Constitutional Convention movement, and noted that he appears to be, quote, inconsistent with his wording of an Article 5 convention as well as his own description convention of states. Okay, I apologize for this slab of whatever, this meat. You know, this is it's a little outrageous in the center here, but the ad. We're not having a discussion on meat right now, but I'll keep going. Sorry for the digression there. Quote, his 2012 book advocates for single issue constitutional conventions, but he has declared under oath that the Article 5 convention is not a constitutional convention, end quote, a John Birch Society spokesman told National File. Quote, as well, he hosted with Harvard professor Lawrence Lessig the Constitutional Convention Conference. Again, he has declared under oath that the Article 5 convention is not a constitutional convention, end quote. Numerous grassroots Republican activists have confirmed to National File that there is no conceivable way to limit the scope of an Article 5 convention, and that many states seeking to participate in the convention are limited by their state constitutions. As a result, can only participate in the convention if there is no scope. Many fear the convention would lead to a Soros-sponsored gutting of the current constitutional protections that include freedom of speech and religion, the right to privacy, and sorry for the delay there. Okay, sorry about that. And the right to bear arms. Okay, the spokesman also noted that while Meckler has, quote, insisted that the COS is a grassroots funded operation with his wife as the sole development officer that would run out of their house, end quote. Available tax documents show that the organization gives its staff large salaries and spends thousands on, quote, advocacy services, end quote, fundraising and paying for influential lobbyists, including former senators. Quote, this seems incongruent with a grassroots operation, end quote, the spokesman said. It is unclear why Parler, which is funded by and partly owned by Rebecca Mercer, the powerful Republican donor, selected Meckler as their interim CEO. On Twitter, Meckler still does not mention Parler in his bio section, but instead notes that he is, quote, President, Convention of States Project. Yikes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Friends in Code. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, friends. Are you over on Twitch? You guys have got the field covered right about now. I appreciate it. And Rachel says, and Soros is who to under the Constitution? A nobody. And Friends in Code says Article 5 says that, quote, on the application of 2/3 of the legislature of the several states, Congress shall call a convention for proposing amendments, end quote. The convention can propose amendments. He goes on to say whether Congress approves them or not. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, oops. Friends and Code says, I am trying to make sure I get notifications of you going live. Yes, please. That's the other thing. Please, if you can hit, I think sometimes if you're lucky enough to get some form of notification, or sometimes you just have to, I think you just have to hop onto the channel, and then you hit the reminder. Sometimes that's the only way I can make sure that I'm plugged into, some of the provocative channels. Rachel says Gates wants our healthcare and food changed. So Soros wants our government changed. Do you see what I mean? You got all of these elite that have no they have no legal authority, or they have no they're just people, but to them they're masters of the universe. And this wouldn't be the first time that that Soros' name has come out on anything. I mean, he has a plan, from what I can tell. And I'm thinking that he's probably, with what's happened recently, he probably think he's got a real shot at whatever he's trying to do. I don't know, but I know he's up in age. All right, guys, I really appreciate it. So please make sure you're still subscribed. That's another thing. I noticed that even the people that I'm subscribed to no longer subscribe to them. If you go on to most channels that you might be subscribed to, you'll see that you're not subscribed, that you know that you're subscribed to. You'll find that it's like it's a brand new page. And now somebody has to be working overtime to keep this thing going. Oh, thank you so much. So Friends in Code, you are a new follower on Twitch. Thank you so much. And with that said, we're going to have another little infomercial. I'll be right back. I appreciate you guys so much for supporting the channel. And also, I don't say this, I don't really advocate a lot for my Patreon. I bring it up kind of haphazardly, but Patreon is also going to be a link in which, a site in which you can get more provocative things. I can say more there, and get less hack checked there. And yes, so not Parlor. Patreon is another site for you to consider. That there are memberships there. You can see, there's a range of memberships there. And so I appreciate you guys so much. So we're going to go ahead and go over to an infomercial. And I don't know, let's see how your Twitch Drive is, how our Twitch Drive holds up this week. And we'll be right back. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, there's something for everyone. So please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back, right after this. All right, guys, I am back in some form. Even if I'm on ice, I'm back. Okay. All right. So thank you guys so much. And I appreciate Friends in Code so much for taking us up on our Twitch Drive. I really appreciate it. And because I'm going to tell you, I think this is going to be, what China's celebrating their lunar year and oxen year. And I'm saying this is going to be the year of regulation. So I'm saying that it's a real concern that channels like this, will be threatened or obsolete this year going forward as time goes on. And I do believe that more regulations are coming. And in fact, I'm not going to say anything specifically about it, but if you go right now onto just go under Channelytics. If you go into your studio, you will see what the CEO has to say about the amount of regulations that are going to come to YouTube overall. So that's what's her Susan Wojcinski. I'm not sure. It's close enough for now. For now, not a lack of respect, but just you know. But yeah, you should, if you check out the studio, it talks about some of the regulations that they are going to. They're going to be. It's going to be globally. The restrictions are going to be global. It's not going to just be a U.S. This is basically a state-run platform, I think, and you have whatever privileges they want to grant you. It looks like. So yeah, if you jump over to your studio, you will find what they might be proposing. And actually she's basically just saying they don't even know what all of these restrictions or regulations are going to be, but they just know that it's complex because each like say for instance, we're also going to roll out the third video of the hip hop public health based community immunity campaign. That particular video has got some restrictions on it worldwide. So you won't be able to see the debut on all of these based on whatever country you're in. So yes, it's definitely there's a global effort to constrain what's going on here in terms of content creators. So that's for your own edification. If you want to go over there and see what they're saying. Hello to the Patriot Brothers. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate that. Kay brought me here. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yes, so we are 48 minutes into this particular stream, and it was, I know the thumbnail said real under 30, and I tried my best to get it under 30, but it's not going to quite happen. So we're actually probably going to close out here in the next 12 minutes or so, but I want to recap what we've done so far. We talked about from the beginning, we talked about there, we had a bit of mask edification for you. If you live in Tennessee, I think CFFS is doing a lot of grassroots work to block the liberties that are coming related to mocktails and passports that we've already seen in other countries. I do believe Israel was one of the first with a green passport, and that's starting to catch a lot of other nations. So, but CFS is willing to work, I guess, do some legwork and advocate for liberties that are already on the books. So I encourage you guys, once again, Patrick, the CFS articles, and they are written by Patrick for the most part, Patrick Wood, they are featured on Epoch Times, Business and Politics, as well as the American Thinker. So if you're checking the community tab here, you'll be able to get some of those releases right here. You won't have to wait to open an Epoch Times or subscribe to an Epoch Times. You can just read those articles as they come out here from the community tab here. I think I might change that, but yeah, so you'll be getting a vetted writer or a vetted perspective. And like I said before, for those of you that have been around for a little while, you know that Patrick actually came on, Patrick Wood and Mary Baker came on, and they talked about the First Amendment. And if possible, I'd like to have them come back and maybe they can tell you guys, right away what's going on, and maybe even something specific to your area. But it looks like Tennessee is where they are right now. And I would imagine that some other states are going to get some traction, and we'll see. So I appreciate you guys. So that was what we were on about, was what I was on about earlier, was the mask edification, and also the No Mask for Kids. That's another site that you can check out, a link you can check out on the community tab. The second story we got into was the Helen Keller conspiracy and the amount of indoctrinated and brainwashed culture, Gen Z. So we had that one earlier. There's also that one was accompanied with a video. And I dropped that link in the stream for you earlier. And I have something that's a little bit more disturbing on here. And this is coming out of the American Thinker. I'm going to drop this for you guys, but I'll tell you the title of this, but it's just a little bit much. But before I do that, I think we had our third story that came out of the national file, which was actually hosted by the Business of Politics, that they revealed that Parler's new CEO wants a convention that would let George Soros rewrite the Constitution. So purportedly on that, but that's their story there. But you have to say that there's a lot of layers to a lot of things going on behind the scenes with Parler. So I think nothing's off the table. I think anything goes. So you guys can dig around on that one. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, everybody that's just come in. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Patriots United Against Censorship. Thank you so much for coming in. And so, yeah, so we've got about 7 minutes left. All right, guys. So I think we'll save that other story. It's a bit much. It's quite disturbing. It's involving our most precious commodity, and its children. And this is, to me, the sexualization. It's a story in reference to that. You've got something really inappropriate being featured on preschool television. And I can probably go in. Let me go into it just a little bit, and I'll get us in and out really quickly. So this is entitled "Man with a Giant," featured on preschool television. This was written by Laura J. Wellington. You read it right, folks. A man with a giant has made his home on Denmark's primary children's broadcaster called John Dillerman. The series has preschoolers flocking to the screen to watch. And we've been worried about the impact of little Johnny and little Susie playing doctor for all these years. The concept for the series must have taken hours to think up, laden with concern for the behavior and development of the youngest and most impressionable of children, not to mention their safety. It must the old-fashioned definition of acceptability, quote, acceptability, end quote, that is causing me enormous despair with regard to the notion that 3, 4, and 5-year-olds are sitting on their couches ogling a big you-know-what hanging from a bunch of balloons and laughing. What parent wouldn't want that for his kids? The same parents who don't want their offspring desensitized to the possibility that being approached by one in real life isn't funny at all. With the unending number of pedophilia and child trafficking stories plaguing the news of late, the blatant disregard for the potential harm this type of program could cause children is gobsmacking, not to mention the open door policy it offers sick individuals who will take advantage of this new wokeness. Thus says the mom of 5 who is required to pass a, quote, safe environments training course, end quote, in order to substitute teach in her son's Catholic school. The goal of the course being to recognize potential pedophiles prior to them ruining children's lives. Programs like this make, quote, acceptable, end quote, what should never be made acceptable for kids and families, a means for entertainment to push the envelope as far as parents will allow. Parents should never allow this and push back hard. If they don't, they will be viewed as in agreement, completely fine with already $9.8 billion US dollars in sex trafficking industry and the 100,000 children across our nation being prostituted annually. The fact is, if one country greenlights such a show, it is only a matter of time till other similar shows arrive to the scene in our own neighborhood. Where is Mr. Rogers when you need him? What is even more disheartening about the series is that taxpayers paid for it to be broadcast to kids. This is what this particular public broadcaster deemed, quote, a good investment, end quote, worth taxpayer money. Having been involved with children's programming, I've known broadcasters to make some questionable choices, especially in the face of some really great programming that never makes it to air. However, choosing a man wielding his over basically anything else is difficult to comprehend. And don't tell me preschoolers will know that this is an all in fun. This is all in fun or not to be believed. We both know that at that age, especially kids cannot differentiate between quote real end quote and quote imaginary end quote. That's why they cling to characters like Barney, Dora, and their own personal imaginary friends. It's the same reason why any children's entertainment property that includes God is immediately tossed into the round file by many mainstream broadcasters. The desire to give God a stage and support the formation of a strong attachment between God and young viewers simply isn't there. Why would they want to empower children to the core when they have so many other elements to cover, like how perfectly natural it is to want to change your gender as a tyke or agree to a mocktail without mommy's and daddy's consent? Why nourish our most vulnerable with, quote, food for the soul, end quote, to make them feel whole and strong when you can simply ply them easily with candy, condemn them to a confused and weakened state, and direct them to where you want them to go? Suffice it to say, the only way children's entertainment is ever going to get better is if the parents demand it. We need to start throwing our weight around in the face of these harmful agendas and faulty programming decisions and speak up on the behalf of our kids in the form of ratings and dollars. That is the only way broadcasters will listen and our kids will benefit. Our children aren't old enough to know what's good for them, what they should want. We are. The onus is on us. So I'm going to put that in the stream for you. So these trends are this despicable wickery is spreading like wildfire. And you're right. Once you give a little bit, it's only going to be worse. They are normalizing, you know what. And you would think it was here, let me read that for you really quick. I put it in the stream, Rachel, but let me read that. I'm stunned myself. How stunned can I be anymore? Okay, so the name of the show, for those of you that are curious about the situation, the show is I guess it's out of Denmark. It's the primary children's broadcasters called John Dillermand, and the series has preschoolers flocking to watch. So I'm not sure what it doesn't really talk about doesn't really talk about the storyline or what is this? Is it all about this guy, or I have no idea. It's disturbing. Very much disturbing. And taxpayers, but that's no different than what's going on with our own government. What are our taxpayers' dollars being used for? It's what we don't know is hurting us. Thank you so much, Steve Willis. I really appreciate it. Old Head Deuce says the thinking behind that is bold and foul. Well, the thing about it is what is it? What is it? The Queen story time. I mean, these are the kinds of things that are going on the city and local level. You have to get involved with your city and local, whether it's the city council, your school board meetings. Just start with the school board meeting. Especially if you have kids. I mean, but the parents are really underrepresented. I mean, I've had people ask me to go to meetings like this. And I'm just thinking, okay, maybe I will go if I have time or if I can, but I'm just thinking, why wouldn't I know parents work? I know that, but somebody needs to go, right? If mom or dad can't go, then there's not an aunt that can go or a grandma that can go or somebody can go. I mean, maybe they need to make that like make it a coffee stop or something. That's your incentive for going, is you have coffee with new people or something, bring the social incentive to it, to make people go and see what's happening in your area, in your schools, in your libraries. That is the only way you're going to know. because these people are pushing their agendas hard. They're not asking you anything. If you're not there, if you're not present in those city council meetings and those school board meetings, they go ahead and they vote. They vote with the assumption that you're not there to represent any opposition. So why wouldn't they go forward? If it's whether it's a stoplight that they're voting on, whether it's a roundabout section they're going to put on your street, why not? Why are you not there? Now I know, and I'm saying this, and see, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'm going to go anyway. Because even I know in communities there are people complaining about what the school's doing all the time, but you can't find 5 parents. You can't find 5 parents. You can't find 20 parents that are in that meeting. And they post it's go to your city, your local or your county schools, your websites, go to your school board's websites, .org or whatever, or .k something. Go and see. It's really not magic. These things are happening right under your nose. And that's how these things get passed. That's how they get in. Because they're going to be there full on hair and makeup to do what they do. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We can't, I just don't think that, I don't think that the passive role and everybody's too busy, okay, well then I guess when these things come out, then we're not going to complain then, right? We're just too busy. I was too busy to worry about it. And a lot of times you have to rely on the integrity of your you have to rely on the integrity of your principal to tell you if he's allowing that if he's permitting that kind of story time to come into your school. He doesn't have to tell you. They are changing everything. They're changing the curriculums. There's an agenda for every institution out there right now. And if you're too busy, yet you can't afford to do another alternative for school, then what do you think is going to happen? It's too late then. It's too late. So, and I'm not preaching to you guys. I'm just saying these are the I'm just responding to things that I've heard. I've heard things like growing up my life and, during my lifetime. And I've heard about it, in the school district that I went to school in. And I'm like, you guys are complaining all the time, yet you do nothing. But you find time to go out every Friday night to these football games. You find time to go to drop them off for everything else and go attend everything else. But you cannot find 1 day out of the month that you can go. You cannot plot 1 day out of the month to go and sit at a school board meeting and see what's on the docket. See what they're voting on. Sometimes they're not voting on, there's nothing on there, but people are bringing things forward in real time. They are bringing proposals and resolutions from a previous meeting. So you're not going to be, I don't think there's going to be the zero order of business. You just have to go there. I mean, you do have, when nobody hears you, you can't, if you're not present, you don't have a voice. It's like some people I knew somebody say, if you call, if you didn't leave a message, you didn't call. And to me, that's no different in these situations. At least if you go, you'll know what's coming your way if it doesn't go your way. But if you don't even know what's coming down, you can't know. I mean, I guess it's just the culture of things, I guess. I don't know. So let's read a few comments and then I'm going to pack this in and fold it in. But yes, and I'm saying I'm getting on a soapbox a little bit about apathy. It's, like local, I've talked about this before that, we have, you have your power is locally. Because the higher you go up, the more remote it is and the longer it's going to take. Or if you get anything from a higher level, from a higher branch. So I'm just going to Keep going, keep going. All right, so I'm gonna read comments and then we're gonna fold it up and get out of here. Yeah, we did go over 30 minutes without a doubt, but check out that article. I mean, I know, what is it? PBS and Sesame. See, they've already started tainting that. They've already tainted that, with all kinds of stuff. I mean, you almost need to just go out and grab everything from a thrift store because everything else is going to be just, who knows? You got to woke proof the kids' things. And pretty soon you won't be able to woke proof it because there won't be any other material out there to draw upon. You'll have to start creating your own stuff. All right, I want to thank so much to our gold standard Rachel Van Ziel Stripe. Thank you, Rachel Van Ziel, and thank you so much for all you do to support the channel. And I appreciate it. Steve Willis, and thank you so much for sharing all that you do. And Tyrants, BANE, the definition of anarchy. Thank you so much. And let's see, Friends in Code. Thank you so much for coming. Alien Believers. Probably post a few comments. I've gone into some of these, but not the people that have come in recently. Friends in Code. Thank you so much for coming. And thank you guys for Sleek Steak Rule. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please consider, we've talked about how Periscope's coming down. Periscope's coming down. So this time next month, you'll only have 7 days to 8 days to change your viewing medium for Periscope. Okay, thank you so much, Sleek Steaks Rule. I really appreciate it. And let's see, who else do we have? Let me read some more comments here. Getting backed up here. All right. Rachel said, bring your pitchfork. And Patriots United Against Censorship says, always some way to get involved, run for everything, school board, sheriff's office, town council, anything you can hold to keep the opposition out. Local elections are the most important. Yes, they are. They are. And you should start there, just start there. Otherwise, that's how I think the radical stuff gets in, because they're like bees. They're always working. Even when they're out of sight, they're still working. But if you're not even starting at your most, at your level, at your local level where you have the most power, it's less and less power the higher you go up. So, okay, Old Head Deuce says, Lowell, I'm gonna get a pitchfork. Yes, please, just consider, I like I said, I've said this before, it's cumbersome to have to switch sites, but this whole revolution is cumbersome. We're all being affected by this. And I appreciate those of you who have gone over to Twitch. I know there's some things about Twitch that some user friendly stuff over there, but I may start dropping a link. I'll try to drop a link in here, because I think if you just go in there and try to type in the name, it doesn't quite work that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop that in here right now. I'll start dropping it regularly. So I know we have quite a few friends over there, and it's still growing. So I don't know if people are on Twitch, on Periscope, are aware of what's going on. I've got people that have just started following a couple of days ago or a day or two ago. And I was just thinking, you guys aren't going to be around very long. You're not going to last, because it's not going to exist. So let me just put that there. Okay. So right now I have just dropped in the Twitch. So you need to do the twitch.tv/ Black Spring with Autumn, and you can get on that way. So yeah, so that's how you can get me on Twitch. I wouldn't recommend plugging in my name. It's the same as it is here, but it's not that. I'm not sure who the developers are or anything on that platform, but at least it's out there. Okay. Oh wow. Old Head says, I told you a long time ago you are the news. So funny. And yeah, there's just, I honestly, but I'm serious. You guys might want to go over for the content creators in here. They are, this is a global effort to control the narrative. It's going to be, what do we call, they call themselves the digital first responders. You guys are going to have to be the digital first responders on the channels that you support, because things are going to come out that you're not going to have any control over. But you're going to have to, the more responsive you are, the better off our survival rates will be higher on these platforms if you are a digital responder and you're actually responding. And you're actually staying abreast of what's going on. If not that, just at least picking up another option to support the channel, to keep it going. Okay. All right. So let me scroll back through. I think I missed a couple of other comments. And Old Head Do says the pitchfork is great symbolism. Yes. I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but I'm sure it's fully loaded coming out of you, Old Head Do's. I really appreciate it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to run a couple more of these infomercials, and then we're going to say so long on your Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for all that you do, and we'll be right back. As you can see, I am stuck there, but it's all, it's all a part of the plan. And so I have said I don't really go with the label so much, because I think that we all just need to we just need to be informed, and we need to be active, and we need to at this point, I mean, I'm certainly not a leftist. I'm not a D word. And but I think it's important that people understand that what's at stake, and that the objective is more, for me, it's more about our rights, our natural rights. And you can be informed, but for me, I don't really get into I don't really pledge allegiance to, and I'm glad that I haven't. But I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we're going to go ahead and say so long. So I'll see you guys in the next live stream. And look at me, I'm totally frozen right now. We're going to go ahead and close this stream out. And I'm going to see you guys on the next live stream. In the comment section, on a Moonlight stream and a video. And yes, you can send me things. You can send me documents or stories via email. I really appreciate it. I do consider myself to be I do love the country, a patriot, but I just don't really, I think we need to recognize what's at stake, and not just, I'm not carrying any shellac around here. All right, guys, you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday, and check out, I'm going to be posting that article, the release from CFFS. And if you guys want to catch up on that or check out anything else there, you can hop over to the community tab. All right, guys, have a great rest of your Tuesday.